This video is part of a series of videos created to familiarize you with operation of the GFC 600 Digital Autopilot. We'll focus on annunciations displayed on the GMC 605C mode controller, while showing comparative annunciations on the original GMC 605. In this video, you'll learn how to utilize the vertical navigation function. Vertical navigation, or VNAV, is based on a GPS flight path designed to allow you to descend to altitudes designated in your flight plan. These designated altitudes could be part of an instrument procedure, or they could be altitudes that you enter at particular waypoints. Many standard terminal arrival procedures include altitude constraints, as can be seen here on the Hull 2 arrival into LAX. Flying these types of procedures without some form of vertical guidance presents many opportunities for error. Being able to load these procedures into your navigator, and then having your autopilot track a vertical path to keep you on track, has great potential to prevent errors in flight path management. Instrument approaches may also have multiple altitude constraints that lead all the way to the final approach fix, as seen here on the ILS or localizer runway 24 right approach at LAX. If the glide slope was out of service and no vertical guidance available, this becomes a very busy approach. VNAV has the ability to manage this flight path all the way down to the final approach fix. Many times when arriving in a busy terminal area, ATC will have you descend and maintain an altitude based on a fix. Rather than having to guess when to start your descent, being able to insert an altitude constraint at a fix and then have VNAV manage the descent is less error-prone. For vertical navigation to work, there are certain requirements. First, you must be on a GPS course with the CDI selected to GPS. Second, there must be an altitude or series of altitudes showing in cyan in the GTN navigator. Again, these could be part of a procedure or manually entered by you. Third, the selected altitude must be set to the lowest altitude authorized by ATC. And finally, you must arm VNAV on the mode controller. While you may not find yourself flying into LAX anytime soon, the ILS 24 right approach makes for a good example of the employment of vertical navigation. Scrolling through the waypoints on the approach, we can see all of the altitude constraints shown on the chart, with each of them all the way to the final approach fix, showing in cyan. This means that VNAV will recognize the constraints and build a vertical path that ensures that you will meet all of the constraints. Since ATC has cleared us for the approach, we arm the approach, and we can adjust the selected altitude to the final approach fix altitude of 2200. Then we press the VNAV button and ensure that we see a white VPTH appear on the mode controller, indicating that the vertical path is armed for capture at the top of descent, as calculated by the system. 1 minute prior to the top of descent, you will hear
vertical track
and see a vertical deviation indicator, or VDI, appear on your display. Capture will occur when the VDI reaches the center. As the approach progresses, the system sequences through each constraint until the glide slope is captured when inbound to the final approach fix. So now you've seen how vertical navigation works on an instrument procedure. But what if you're flying en route and ATC instructs you to cross 20 miles prior to New Century at 3,500? Since that waypoint is in the GTN flight plan, you can select it and select a long track. Enter 20, and then press Enter to create the waypoint. Now you would touch the altitude field next to your newly created waypoint, touch the altitude field, and enter 3,500. If ATC wants you to start your descent immediately, you can select the VNAV Direct button, but in most situations, you would select the Save button. Now you have a cyan altitude reflected in your flight plan, so VNAV will recognize this. Next, you can adjust the selected altitude down to 3,500 feet, and press the VNV key on the mode controller. Again, always verify any mode controller actuations by observing the annunciations. Here you can see that the vertical path has been armed for capture, so you can expect to begin a descent to arrive at your altitude constraint once you reach the top of descent. Okay, now you've seen how to set your system up for vertical navigation. Be sure to view the additional videos in this series covering controls and annunciations, as well as other operational features. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about your Garmin equipment, and thanks for flying Garmin.